Hello, this is Robin Witten, editor of AudioFile, and today we're talking to narrator Dion Graham, who has just completed an audiobook he's very eager to tell us about. Hello, Dion.
Hey, Robin, how are you?
I'm good. It sounds like you've completed another, just finished recording another Dave Edgar's title that you'd like to tell us a little bit about.
That's right. It's great. It's his book, You Shall Know Our Velocity, which is a great book, and it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's the first novel that Dave wrote, and certainly it's the book that came out after his great work, a heartbreaking work of staggering genius, which I also narrated, which is great. But it came out also before What is the What, which folks may also know about as well, and it's a tremendous book. It follows um, it follows a tragedy that has happened in the main character's life. He and his friend Han, the main character's name is Will, and his friend Han, they've lost a good friend of theirs named Jack to a tragic accident. And shortly after that, also they have come into, I should say, Will has come into a great deal of money, about $80,000 or so, and he doesn't feel entitled to it, and he decides that he wants to take a trip around the world and try to disperse this money to people that he thinks are more deserving of it. So that's the setup for the book, and they have some wild adventures traveling the globe, sharing this money.
Interesting, interesting. And so this is not a new book. I think it was You Shall Know Our Velocity was first published in 2003, but it's just this will be the first time that it has been recorded.
Oh, definitely, yes, that's right.
Great. And you've got what was particularly interesting about these two boys? Was it the travel or the relationship between them?
All of it. These two young men, they're in their 20s, and what was really interesting about it, they have all of the dynamics of really close friends who've known each other for a while. So they've seen each other through the good times, the bad, the silly times, and the grave, and are wedded to each other in spite of or because of, depending on how you look at it, whatever the sticking points of their relationship. One thing about the book that I found really, really interesting is Dave's look at we as Americans and as young Americans, but also as American culture and how we move and how we relate to the rest of the world. The book is really interesting, and just looking at that as these two guys who, live here but suddenly find themselves not only fish out of water, but really swimming in environs that are radically different than anything that they might have imagined before they set out. And it's interesting holding a sort of the mirror back up to our culture.
Hmm. Can you share a particular scene or a page from You Shall Know Our Velocity?
I would be happy to. I'd be happy to. The river was smooth. The river was straight. The river was brown, then red. The river was soaked in blood. There were bodies floating, bodies jamming the river like logs. This was Rwanda. Why had Hand and I wanted to go to Rwanda? To see. We had a responsibility to see what could be done. Were we them? Or were the Rwandans really someone else? Their backs facing the sun and the thin brown water, church to church under nave and pew. Bump them. That we wanted to end their slaughters but had to know the number, 800,000, and have no ability whatsoever to take back that number? Bump them for giving that to us. We wanted him to speed, but Jack would not speed. He drove with his hands perfectly at 10 and 2, which was fine and afforded him the most control, especially in time of danger, but still it blocked completely his view of the speedometer. So every few seconds, he would have to raise his thumbs as if giving a double thumbs up, granting himself a view of the gauge. It drove us nuts. Hand and I wanted to go at least 7 miles over the limit because everyone knew you could do at least that without getting caught. We would say, "Jack, when are you going to open this baby up? You got a V8 here, my man." And he did, even if it was in a station wagon, the same one his mom drove, and then his sister Molly drove, and now he drove, stopping at every stop sign, a full stop, even if there wasn't a soul for miles. So when I first heard it was a car accident, for a second I was relieved because I knew it was a mistake, because Jack could never have been driving fast enough for that. I pictured car crashes involving only cars going very fast, two cars colliding, both at top speed. But it was not that with Jack. He was driving in the right lane and had been going the speed limit, or below. The truck came from behind doing 80, downhill, sees Jack's car moving too slowly, a speed which would be, to the truck, as if it were standing still, as if Jack and his car were immobile objects. The truck hits the car, but doesn't bump it. The momentum drives the wheels up and over Jack's, grinding it flat as it passes. 12 wheels at once, practically. All of it happening in half a second. Then the truck runs off, veering right. It jackknifes, falls into the median. Driver is thrown against his side window, giving him a concussion and nothing more. I know your name, truckhead. I was forgiven by your friend's family. I forgave nothing.
Wow. So that starts that's the accident that starts the adventure for these boys. Is that right?
That's sort of the, let's put it this way, it's one of the inciting events in it. That happens sort of towards the middle of the book, but in terms of the chronology of events in the book, this is something that happens before they embark on this journey.
Great. Well, Dion, thank you so much for telling us about it. And this will be available fairly soon, if not already out for listeners. And if I can just say a couple things for our listeners about you, that Dion you've had such a great year. You've had gotten a chance to record some books that are now getting attention, particularly Audiophile has just recognized you as one of the best voices of the year for The Rock and the River. And also they call themselves the KKK, two of the best young adult titles of the year. And also you started off the year with the recognition by the Odyssey Award for two honor books, The Peace Locomotion and We Are the Ship. Thank you, Dion.
Thank you so much, Robin, for having and talking with me today.